Picture a rectangle drawn around price. The top edge is the high everyone watches. The bottom edge is the low everyone defends with a stop loss. The whole strategy lives inside one moment. Price dips below or above the box, triggers those stops, and snaps back inside. Here's what most trading courses skip entirely. They teach you to trade the break or trade the bounce, but nobody teaches you to trade the snapback. That reclaim candle, the one that closes back inside the range after the sweep, is where the real information lives. It's the chart admitting the move was a lie. Once you start watching for it, every stop hunt on your chart starts looking like an invitation instead of a punishment. Think about how much this simplifies things. It all reduces to one question. Did price leave the box for real? Or did it poke out, grab the stops, and come back? Answer that on a live chart, and you have an edge that's worked since before computers existed. I'll show you. Pull up any range on your chart right now. Gold, Forex, Bitcoin. It works on all of them. The first thing I do is draw one box. I connect the highs, connect the lows, and now I have a clean range. The edges are so obvious that the stops sitting just outside them are obvious too. Now I wait. Nothing happens until price actually pierces one of those edges. That poke is the sweep, the moment when stop orders fire and new breakout traders pile in on the wrong side. But here's where everyone gets it backwards. The sweep is not your signal. Everyone watches the breakout. But few watch what happens next. And what happens next is the only thing that matters. The reclaim. Price has to close back inside the box. There's a name for what happens at each edge of that box. Here's what it looks like, candle by candle. This is the low side version. Price breaks below the range low, grabs sell side liquidity, where sell orders and long stop losses are stacked, then closes back above the same level. Wyckoff called this a spring. Now flip the chart. Price breaks above the range high, breakout buyers jump in, and then price closes back inside the box. That is the mirror trap, called an upthrust. The textbook breakout buyer enters right above the high. The chart gives one friendly green candle, smiles for half a second, then drops like it remembered gravity exists. That's the trap pattern at the surface level. What's coming next is the framework Wyckoff used to map the entire range weeks before the trap even printed. Now open any Wyckoff book, and you'll find 5 phases labeled A through E, with sub-events and weird acronyms. That alphabet is exactly why most traders quit Wyckoff after 2 days and go back to drawing trend lines. Strip it down. 3 boxes do the entire framework's job. Box 1 is the build, the one we've talked about. Price stops trending and starts ranging. Big players are quietly buying or selling inside that range, while everyone else argues on X about which way it's going next. If big buyers are loading up, we call that accumulation, which is just a fancy word for the big money is buying inside this box before pushing it up. If big sellers are dumping, that's distribution, meaning big money is selling inside this box before pushing it down. Box 2 is the fake, the trap, the spring, or the upthrust we already walked through. The market makes one obvious move past the edge of the range to grab the stops, then snaps back inside. This is the only box you need to time an actual entry from. Box 3 is the leave. Price breaks out of the range in the opposite direction of the fake. If the spring was below, price leaves to the upside. If the upthrust was above, price leaves to the downside. The fake tells you the direction of the real move every single time. Build, fake, and leave. That's the whole map. You don't need to memorize 12 subphases. You don't need to label every minor swing with a Wyckoff acronym to feel smart. If the chart isn't doing one of those three things right now, you don't have a Wyckoff setup. So binary rule, no initial box, no Wyckoff. If you can't draw the box first, every label after that is fan fiction. Now, 3 boxes tell you where the move happens. They don't tell you who is forcing it. That's the part that turns this from pattern matching into actual edge. Wyckoff invented a character to teach this idea. He called it the composite man, which sounds like a 1920s superhero. So what is it? The composite man is the market using the crowd's obvious behavior against it. When the crowd puts stops under the range, price often travels there first. When the crowd buys the breakout above the range, price can trap them first. That does not mean every move is evil or planned by a villain in a leather chair. It means obvious orders create obvious targets, and large players need those orders to build size. This is the reframe that actually changed how I look at charts. I stopped asking, why did they hunt my stop? And started asking, where is the obvious liquidity sitting before the real move? That second question gives you a setup. The first question gives you a journal entry full of frustration. SMC and ICT language updated the vocabulary, not the concept. A spring is a sell-side liquidity grab. An upthrust is a buy-side liquidity grab. Labels don't matter. The market isn't picking on you personally. You're too little to matter. The market is hunting fuel, and your stop loss happens to be the fuel sitting closest to the surface. So once you internalize this idea, you'll stop placing stops at the obvious low everyone else can see. You'll start placing them where the composite man already left, not where he's headed next. Okay, that's the model when the trap works as designed. But here's where this whole framework can torch your account. Watch what happens when the sweep isn't a hunt at all. Crude oil market. Price has been between a clean high and a clean low. Same setup we just walked through. Same shape, same logic. The low gets swept, and every Wyckoff student sees a spring forming. Watch this carefully with me. The wick prints below the low. The next candle tries to climb back into the range, just like before. But here's the thing, it only gets halfway. The candle closes below the range, not above it. Price pokes its head back into the box, panics, and falls right back out the bottom. That's not a spring, that's a failed reclaim, and it's the single most expensive setup in the Wyckoff playbook, because initially it looks identical to a winner. 3 more candles down. Old support is now acting as resistance. Anyone who entered long on the wick is sitting on a 5% loss, and the people who entered on the reclaim are bleeding too. This is the part most charting books make too clean. The chart does not ring a bell under the low. It gives you a nasty wick, a sloppy close, and a decision moment. So here's the failure rule, and you should write this one down. If price breaks below support and closes back above support, I wait for the first higher low or a bullish candle away from the level. If price does not close back above support, I skip the long. Now flip the chart. If price breaks above resistance and closes back inside the range, I wait for the first lower low or a bearish candle away from the level, then I can look for a short. If price closes above the range and holds above it, I do not fight the breakout. Let's test this. This is pound dollar 15-minute chart. The box is already built on the exact area where price bounced before. Price comes down into the low, and I am not buying yet because the candle has not proved anything. It pokes under the range, and that tells me stops are getting hit under the obvious level. Now I want to see if it's coming back up. I am watching the close because the close tells me whether price is accepted outside the range or rejected back inside. The candle closes back above the low, and that is the reclaim. The next candle pulls back, and I want to see if buyers defend the same level from inside the range. Price holds, prints a small higher low, and now the long idea is valid. I place the entry above the bullish candle that moves away from the level. The stop goes below the sweep low. The target goes at the range high because that is where buy-side liquidity, where buy orders are stacked, is waiting. Clean trade. The key was not the wick under the low because the wick only showed the trap. The key was the close back inside and the higher low after it. This is gold on the hourly chart. The range is tight and the highs are too clean to ignore. I marked the top of the box and I am already asking one thing. If price breaks this high, does it reject back inside or does it live above the box? Okay, price pushes through the high, then sellers push it back down, and for a moment, the candle is inside the range. I wait. No decision yet. The candle closes near the top and barely gets back below the line, which means the rejection is weak. I need a lower high or a strong bearish candle away from the level, and I do not have either one yet. The next candle opens, drops slightly, then pushes back up and holds above the old resistance line. That tells me the level is flipping into support. The level that used to push price down is now holding price up. If I force the short here, my entry sits right into support. Then price pushes again and holds above the range. That is the answer. The upthrust is dead. The real trade is a long here, not a short. Now, the strange part is this. The stop hunt and the real breakout start with the exact same candle. Same box, same level break, same rush of traders jumping in. But there are several clues that show up before, during, and after the break, and it tells you whether to fade it or trade with it. I'll show you in this video. And this is exactly the kind of setup we break down inside our academy. See you inside.